These are the angles you need if you're dealing with a 45-degree cornice. These are the angles I'm working with. These were very hard for me to find online, so hopefully you see this and it makes things a lot clearer. The other angles that everyone is preaching about online and those angles that are inbuilt into your saw, they are for a different type of cornice, which is not the 45-degree type. G'day everyone, in this video I'll be installing crown moulding, or as I like to call it, timber cornice. Now I've done plenty of plaster cornices and I thought this would be easy, but I've run into a few hurdles, so I will share that information with you just in case you're having the same problems. Now I want to start off by saying there are two types of crown moulding. You can get the type which sits on the wall at a 45-degree angle, or you can get the type that sits on the wall at a 52 and a 38-degree angle, depending which corner you're looking at. And because of those two different angles, there are actually two different ways to cut these depending on what crown moulding you have. So I'll explain that further and then I'll jump into showing you how it's done. So first, I'll just show you what I'm working with. This measures 150 mil across the front, and we like to think of these as making a triangle against the wall, the ceiling, and then the cornice itself. That's going to create our triangle. That's going to tell us our angles and a few critical measurements so that we can install this nice and neatly. So I've just drawn a couple of triangles here. First of all, this triangle that I've drawn represents the crown moulding I'm working with. We're the same distance away from the wall as we are from the ceiling. And then our measurement across the face of the crown moulding doesn't change, that's 150. And with that, we've got a 45-degree angle in both these corners, and that's a 90-degree, obviously, that doesn't change. So that's what I'm dealing with, and that's where the confusion came in, because another common type is this triangle here. So for example, if we had the same 150 across the face, some common angles are what we have here, 38 and 52 degrees, that 90 doesn't change. But because these angles are different, the distance away from the wall and the distance away from the ceiling are different. And another thing that is different is the way we cut this. So I'll show you how they're cut and why that's different. Once you've understood what type of crown moulding you have, whether it's the 45-degree type or the 38-52-degree type, now we can establish how to cut them. A lot of people will tell you just to put it on the fence on the angle, like this, and then cut it. Now first of all, that's dangerous, and second of all, my saw doesn't actually have enough of a cutting blade size to actually finish the whole cut in one go. It actually gets jammed up on the top here, so I can't cut all the way through the bottom. Now, this is flat on the back side, so we can lay it flat and then choose some specific angles to make the cut so that by the time we roll it up onto the wall, they join nice and neat. So the big question is, what are those two specific measurements? Well, I'll put them up on the screen depending on what type of cornice you have. But for me, my miter, being this angle here, has to be 35.3 degrees, and my bevel, being this angle here, that needs to be 30 degrees. Now, depending on what kind of cut you're trying to make, whether it's an internal left, internal right, or external left or an external right, that's going to depend on what combination you use here, and that's going to require some previous knowledge of installing cornices. Now, I've been a chippy for 10 years and I've always wondered why the hell there was a 31.6 degree marking on my saw here, and as well as another specific arrow here pointing to 34 degrees. Those are the two angles you need when you're cutting crown moulding, which is of the 38 and 52 degree type. So there's some very specific angles for some very specific applications, but that's what they're there for. And like I said before, with the 45-degree type moulding, you will just need to set your miter and your bevel up the top here. You'll need to set those in order to make the specific cut you need for your application. Alright, now I know what angles to set my saw at. I know how to cut cornice. I've been through this before. I've done it on my plaster cornice tutorial, so we know what angles we want depending on what situation we're faced with. I know how to set my saw up, so let's jump inside see what's going on, and we'll talk about actually fixing these timber cornices to the wall and to the ceiling. So just to get prepared inside, I've cut these blocks with a 45-degree angle on them. I'm having a hard time actually nailing the cornice to the wall because there's no timber where I need it to be. So I can nail these blocks to the top plate of the wall, and then that will kind of sit in behind the cornice. There might be a little bit of a gap, which is what we want. We don't want it to get in the way. But then we can basically shoot nails through the bottom, into the wall and the studs. When I shoot through the top, I miss the ceiling batten which is up there. So instead of aiming for the ceiling batten, I just aim for this block, and that should be plenty enough to hold the cornice on. So we'll jump inside and see how it's done. Alright, that's it for this video, guys. So there's a lot of specific information in my plaster cornice tutorial as well. I'll link that down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It actually goes a long way to supporting me, and it keeps you up to date with the videos that I'm bringing out. Now this video is a part of a series of videos as well. So if you want to see more on this house, if you want to see the wall paneling, or you want to see me transform it, you'll see those videos as well when you subscribe. So thanks for sticking around, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.